Everybody, it's your girl Sherry. Welcome back to another episode of Alleged Actually. Y'all, this was a pop in, a quick live, and forgive my voice. I just got back from PodFest 2025 in Orlando, Florida this past weekend. Was out there for 4 days last week and had a wonderful time. But they left me with a parting gift, and that was a little cold. Yeah, your girl is not her best self, but y'all, I had to come on and we need to talk about RHONY, Real Housewives of New York, particularly the season finale. Now, let's be clear, this has not been their best season. A lot of the fans have talked about how it's just not landing, it's boring, there's no real storylines. And I don't know that they're wrong. I did watch the season, not as intently as I did the first season, and not, of course, like I'm glued to the set when it's Real Housewives of Salt Lake City or Beverly Hills or, some of the others. Orange County, had a fairly decent season. And Potomac, we're going to talk about them a little bit too. But last night, the reason I wanted to get on is because I feel like what we witnessed last night is something bigger than a pot stirrer or the self-described villain of the cast. And of course, y'all, I'm talking about Bren Whitfield. So for those of you all, I'm not going to give a play-by-play recap. I'm just going to do my discussion on what I witnessed. When I watched the episode, it started like the typical, they're in Puerto Rico, and this was a trip that Raquel had planned. She is Puerto Rican and from there, and wanted to return home. By the way, I definitely like her as an addition on RHONY. I think that she had a good season. She certainly brings something to the table. Very interesting story. And they were there in Puerto Rico. There has been ongoing back and forth between Brynn and Uba and different ones in the group. So Brynn is the self-described pot stirrer. She wants to keep things going. And I think there was some self-producing going on. And we've talked about that. It's been the downfall of a lot of the housewives. They're getting to the point where, they know storylines matter. They have to have a good season or they won't be asked back or put on pause or whatever. And so, yes, I think that some of that was her doing some self-producing, trying to stir things up. But what we saw last night that went down between her and Uba Hassan was deeper than that. So the two of them have had an ongoing beef and arguments, and it has been said by or alleged by other castmates that no one really knows what Brynn does for a living. And in one of the heated arguments, Uba had made a comment that got misconstrued that perhaps Brynn had slept with someone to get her job, particularly done a particular act to get a job. And that's what Brynn said. And Brynn has a habit of taking things and twisting them. But what happened last night, y'all, was hard to watch. And I'm going to break down why for me. Not only was it calculating and dark and very difficult to watch, when the argument ensued and she started to cry because, in the beginning of the season, Erin had done an interview with Jeff Lewis where she'd also made a similar claim that she didn't know what Brynn did for a living, that perhaps, she was financed by older men, rich men, whatever. And partly, y'all, Brynn has this whole sex kitten persona. She's very over-sexualized. It was part of her shtick, if you will. She does the whole baby voice. She's very aggressive with Jenna. None of that matters when the fact that, first, let me say this, that when Brynn came out and said that she had at one point been essayed, I believe her because I too believe women. I do. I believe that. I think it's deeper too. I think that I do believe that. What I didn't believe, what I didn't like is them saying that, when Uba and her would argue and she made that comment, which was a comment that not only Uba had said, about her getting the job was that immediately they jumped on the bandwagon and believed Brynn, that when Brynn said that in a state of hysteria, when someone that was close to her attempted to unalive themselves, she called Uba first because it was before BravoCon. So after their first season, Uba and Brynn were very close. She reached out to her, and in her, rant of feeling emotional and sad and despair, and she went back to how come, bad things happened to me in my childhood. And she said that it was at that point that she mentioned to Uba that she had been essayed. And then that now knowing that information, of course, it looked like how villainous of Uba to then weaponize that and throw it at her and use the fact that perhaps making that statement that she had maybe done some sort of an act to get the job on Bravo. Now, what I think is deeper here is, okay, we know that Brynn has some childhood trauma, okay? Brynn has talked to Uba about her not wanting her to be the angry Black woman. She talked about being sad that, Black women can't be successful without someone assuming that they got their success in a compromising way, using their bodies or in a S type of situation. For those that don't know, Brynn is of mixed heritage. Her mother is white. Her father is Black. She was raised by her grandmother and is not close to her Black side. Now, I'm not going to strip away from her the experience of being a woman of color, but we do know that Brynn is racially ambiguous. When I first saw in season 1, I didn't know until she said it. Matter of fact, I was happy that she admitted it. I mean, once she said it, then we can see when you say it, right? Her hair and all of that. But if she didn't say it, I don't know that I would know. I don't know that that's important. The reason why I'm even bringing it up is I'm trying to get down to the thing between her and Uba. Her and Uba have this very deep-seated emotional connection, which was good, but then turns really dark and bad at times. And for me, I think that Uba represents to Brynn a part of her that she felt perhaps discarded from. I think that she comes for Uba a lot, but Uba is no saint. I think that Uba needs to learn how to regulate her emotions and how to articulate her feelings without flying off the handle and screaming and ranting, so that now her point is lost in translation of aggression and anger. But I just think that what we witnessed here last night was just when Brynn took something to try to get the approval of the group was way too serious and way too far. Bravo to Jessel for being the level-headed one, for checking on Uba and for telling Uba what was said, because what to me is even the most disturbing, that these women, particularly, and I was a Jenna Lyons stan, but I am so upset with Jenna because her, even down to the end, it was still of when Brynn came back and admitted to the girls after Jessel let Uba in on the fact that Brynn had let them, or had alluded that when Uba had made that comment to her, she had done so with having the information that Brynn had confessed to her that she had been essayed at a point in her life, which is a very different thing. You can get mad and no woman should tear another woman down like that, period. But particularly if you're a friend of someone that actually had been essayed and you would throw something like that, would be vile and very, very low. Would say a lot about your character. However, Uba did not know that. That did not come in the conversation. And now, when they pressed, after Uba got so upset and had to leave and go to a hotel, kudos again to Jessel for going with her. There was someone that was with her to support her. Then Brynn came in and gave a little more detail to the story and saying that, oh, okay, well, when I called, when I mentioned it, perhaps she didn't clock in. What did she mean by clock in? She meant that maybe, in all the things that I said in my rants, perhaps that wasn't the thing that Uba heard. Y'all, that's not something that just goes by you in translation. That's serious. It went to further show now that as a group, when they realize they watch Bryn's story just deteriorate right in front of their eyes. Now they started to question everything she said to them. All of the stories that got spin, the stupid thing about, Aaron saying that Jenna was broke, and, the thing with Cy, and then it just, all of the silliness that has gone on this season, they started to see now they can't believe anything that comes out of her mouth. But a lot of times, y'all, when someone lies like that, it is a symptom to a much bigger problem. Cy threw out the word narcissist, I believe it was Cy, when what to me was so disturbing the most is how once Uba had left, Brynn kept coming into the room. It's kind of like, have y'all ever been to like a slumber party? And, we as women, young girls, we don't get along sometimes. There's one or two. And you have that one that has that fear of missing out, or, if you walk outside, you're scared your girls are going to talk about you. So it's kind of like, you come back and you check the temperature, which is what she did. Like, she knew she messed up. And she tries to spin the story again, tell her side, pull in, then, well, maybe she didn't clock it, now looking back. And by this time, they're appalled. Now they realize they have co-signed with her on something that Uba did not know. Uba's reaction was so visceral that it was painful to watch. And so, y'all, my thoughts are this, and maybe I'm ranting and a little all over the place, and that's what this is for. This is not an organized recap. This is me giving my thoughts on the episode. Where do we go from here? I think that Brynn needs to step away from the show. I think that she needs some healing. I think that she needs some therapy. I think that there is an identity crisis with her. I think that she hasn't fully found her way. And I also think that I actually got a chance to talk to Brynn at BravoCon. And y'all, she was lovely. I have a picture with her. I was going to put it up. But, for the sake of this conversation, I'm not. But, BravoCon, the Bravo Labs, the Bravo movement, it's a thing. It's a real thing. Far past the days of when reality shows were, the Real World, or, Road Rules Challenge, Flavor of Love, when it was all entertainment. Now when you have the cult following that Bravo has, these people become actual celebrities, and fast. And then when you go to something like a BravoCon, you get to see it up close and personal. And a person that starts off in obscurity is now, on the lips of everyone. That is particular, Bravo fans, which is a huge fan base. If you already are suffering from some sort of issue or trauma, or the need to be liked, or the need to be relevant, or the need to feel adored or admired or liked, like I said, there are tactics that some people will go to at huge lengths to keep that feeling. And I find that to be Brynn. At the end of the episode, when they came together to do the photo shoot, y'all, and the way that she said that, these girls, they don't care about me, there is no accountability. I don't like to throw out terms like narcissism and all of those things, but there is something broken there. And we know that a lot of times when the hidden inner child of us has not had the chance to heal or grow, that inner child manifests and shows itself in many ways. And y'all, that's what we witnessed last night. That's what we witnessed all season. It is toxic. And I will agree with Sai. It is dangerous. It would be hard to trust someone like that. I don't know what the future of RHONY will be. My thoughts are that they probably should maybe have Brynn step away. I think they could bring in a couple new housewives and start fresh. Their ratings weren't great. Excuse me, y'all. I apologize. But a revamping of some sort, I think, is in order. I really do. I think that fundamentally they have some interesting women. I like New York. I like their dry wit. I like their trendiness. I love New York and the zest that comes with that. But I don't like the playing in your face. The prank they did about the pregnancy was stupid. And then to find that, Brynn is now being proven as a liar. But child, she's not the only one. Then I'll get to that. But to see that, to me, that they know each other, they were a group of friends, and that it has gone this far speaks volumes. I often wonder, when they choose these women to be castmates for these shows, how much vetting do they do? How much do they really talk to them and really get to know them? Because some of the stuff, to me, it gets dark. And I'm going to mention as well Mia Thornton. Sunday's episode, and I know some people say, well, why would you necessarily take Gordon's word over Mia? That is because Mia has been proven over and over to have a very interesting relationship with the truth. So at the end of that episode, or in the middle of the way, Ray Huger and Gordon Thornton have a meal together. And Gordon lets Ray know that he has the children 25 days out of the month. May or may not be true. I don't know. That they have not pursued a divorce yet, so that he had suggested some sort of marital counseling unless either one of them are going to get married. I don't know if that's true. That's what he said. But certainly sounds more logical. And then the biggest kicker was that he had given his son Jeremiah a paternity test and had proven that Jeremiah is his son. Well, part of the storyline Mia had was that she didn't know whether Jeremiah was Gordon's or Ink's. Okay, but she had that information and kept it going. And y'all, this season with Potomac has been a disappointment. I started off strong with them, had promise. I was happy to see them getting along. I did not like the fact that Candace was gone, but I thought for the sake of her having a baby, it was probably the healthy move for her. And then, the storyline has been Mia and her weaponizing Gordon's mental health, bipolar disorder 1, when it, again, lost opportunity to bring awareness in a positive way. And then, allowing us to even be in the chat with the possibility of her son being another man's, this man staying around with the children there, Gordon in the same building as them, and just all of this. It's just not what we initially signed up for. I don't know about y'all. I love a good read. I love a good verbal smackdown. I love to see them, the lighthearted trips, the fun shade and all of that. I don't like when things turn dark. I don't like to see families fall apart, though that's part of real life sometimes. Divorce happens, right? But when you go that low, when you use the paternity of your child, when you just discard the sanctity of marriage in the sense of, you bringing in your live-in boyfriend, you've got your husband over here, you present it as a throuple. You have a girl on there that's your friend that you allude to that was your girlfriend. It's kind of to the point at this point. I'm like, am I, the integrity of the Housewives franchise is going down, down, down. And what hurts me most is, Potomac is supposed to be those girls. And I hope that they can recover. And then Karen Huger and her DUI, her lack of accountability for admitting that, she made a mistake. And, I'm glad that she's getting the help that she needs. But of course, just like many of us have thought, if you say it hasn't run through your mind, you're not being honest, that it was a convenient timing. She probably definitely does need to seek some help. And she probably, for legal reasons, needs to go into rehab to help her sentencing case. But y'all, I don't know. I would love for y'all to slide in the comments and let me know your thoughts on the Real Housewives of New York finale. What are your thoughts, y'all? Do you think that they should fire Brynn? Do you think sometimes that these women go too far for the sake of being relevant, staying on the show, storylines. I really want to hear from y'all. So slide in my comments. Also, guys, if you haven't yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like this live and come back with me and chat. I am going to actually reschedule the Real Housewife of Beverly Hills recap because I am not feeling at my best. But I did want to hop on for a little bit to talk about RHONY and a little bit about Real Housewives Potomac, just kind of where I feel like they've gone to an all-time low. So, guys, like I said, go ahead, subscribe, comment, let me know your thoughts on the episode, and share so we can try to get to our next goal of 6K subscribers. Thank you as always for tuning in. I will be back on Thursday to do the recap for Real Housewives of Salt Lake City Reunion Part 1. And I will also be sharing my thoughts on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. But today I'm going to take a little rest. The girl get her voice a little stronger and get better from this cold. But as always, guys, have a blessed one and take some time to be kind to someone. All right, guys. Bye.